The weaving I do isn't isn't really accepted as art till recently. And they would think of weaving as craft. This is my loom, which is my prized possession. It really presides over the living room. And what's nice is that it looks like a wooden sculpture. It's not like a painting. A painting, you have a canvas in front of you, and you know exactly what you want to do. While in weaving, it's a very slow method, and I have to do it carefully. So there's a lot of abstraction that way. I work upside down, inside out, and that's how it works. My husband, Charles Correa, was an Indian architect and planner, so he really did a lot for India. We did support each other very much. I mean, Charles would take a lot of interest in my work, and I would his too, because we traveled a lot together. It was a trip to Helsinki, and then we went on to Boston. And in Boston, I looked out for someone who would help me weave, because I was stunned by the weaving in Helsinki. I'd never seen anything like that before. Wool, the technique, and it was abstract weaving. And when we got to Boston, it just happened that there was Marion Strangel, who had retired from Cranbrook Academy. So there she was, and she said, "Why don't you come to Connecticut and I'll teach you how to weave." So I went there a couple of times, and the second time she gave me the design of her loom, which I brought back to India, and I got it fabricated here. And well, that started me off. And the fact that I didn't do a 2-year course or 3-year course was very good, because then it allowed me to experiment. This is the reed, which has got tar on either side, but the teeth are like a teeth of a comb, and the threads go through it to keep it very structured. But when I don't want it structured, I take this reed off. And how did I do that? I got the carpenter to cut off one side of it. So then I can pull it out and have the reed meander along whichever way it wants. In India, it was very difficult, really, for women in the ceramic and textile field. It was the breadwinner who would sit at the wheel, and women would just be the ones who did the bobbin winding or helping with the dyes or something. But the men wouldn't allow the women also closer to the loom, because they felt that when they got married, the women got married, they would carry away all the secrets of the trade. It was post-independent India, and here in Bombay, the Weaver Service Center had Mrs. Jaikar as chairman, and that was wonderful because a lot of things were happening. And I got to understand what another kind of weaving was about. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional weaving, but I was very interested in weaving as an art form. So I started off with the Weaver Service Center for about 6 months. And that's when I started with the dharis. And a dhari is a floor rug without a pile, so it's just a very flat rug. You don't ever get to see much of it except the 6 or 8 inches that you're weaving. And so every now and again, I would have to unroll the piece and take stock of what it was. And sometimes I'd stop in the evening because I felt it needed to, I needed to think about it, you know, dream about it, shall I say. I was asked for the Bombay Arts Festival, and I was really doing a play of color really at the bottom. And then I had this big sun, and I was then fascinated by the circle. And this one was the first one, and so I called it Original Sin. Not that there's anything sinful about it, but it was just because it was the original one. Now, it was very difficult for me to do the circle, and I worked it on the reverse side. It was the first one that I felt I had made a breakthrough. I'll be frank enough, I don't know that much about weaving, so I could experiment, you know, and get my way. So that I think has been my forte, really, experimentation. I think there's still very few weavers post me